On Thursday, June 22, 1944, the Red Army launched the Belarusian strategic offensive, better known as Operation Bagration. The goal of this offensive was to recapture the Belarusian SSR, modern-day Belarus, from the German occupation. The operation was extremely successful, resulting in the almost complete destruction of Army Group Center, and ended on August 29. In its final stages, Operation Bagration saw Soviet forces strike swiftly toward the Baltic coast, severing communications between the German Army Group North and the remnants of Army Group Center. After Operation Bagration ended, Soviet forces continued clearing the Baltic coast, despite German attempts to restore the front in Operation Doppelkopf. The Red Army commenced the Memel offensive operation with their goal of isolating Army Group North by capturing the city of Memel, now called Klaipėda, in Lithuania. On October 9, 1944, the Soviet forces reached the Baltic Sea near Memel after overrunning the headquarters of the 3rd Panzer Army. As a result, Army Group North was cut off from East Prussia. Heinz Guderian, the chief of the German General Staff, urged evacuation and recommended the use of the troops to stabilize the front in Central Europe. However, Adolf Hitler refused, and ordered the German forces in Courland and the Estonian islands Hiiumaa and Saaremaa to hold out, believing them necessary to protect German submarine bases along the Baltic coast. Hitler still believed the war could be won, and hoped that Karl Dönitz' new Type 21 U-boat technology could bring victory to Germany in the Battle of the Atlantic, forcing the Allies out of Western Europe. This would allow German forces to focus on the Eastern Front, using the Courland Pocket as a launching point for a new offensive. Hitler's refusal to evacuate the army group meant the isolation and entrenchment of more than 200,000 German troops from the 16th and 18th Armies, in what became known to the Germans as their Courland Bridgehead. 33 divisions of the Army Group North, commanded by Field Marshal Ferdinand Schörner, were cut off from East Prussia and spread out along front lines reaching from the Latvian capital of Riga to the city of Liepāja, retreating to the more defensible Courland position, abandoning Riga entirely. Soviet forces launched 6 major offensives against the German and Latvian forces in the Courland Pocket between October 15, 1944, and April 4, 1945. From October 15 to 22, 1944, the Soviets launched the Riga offensive operation after conducting a heavy artillery barrage. Hitler allowed the Army Group Commander Ferdinand Schörner to commence withdrawal from Riga on October 11, and the city was taken by the 3rd Baltic Front on the 13th of October. The front was then stabilized with the main remnant of Army Group North being isolated in the peninsula. From October 27 to November 25, the Soviets then launched an offensive trying to break through the front towards Skrunda and Soldas, including at one point initiating a massive attack by Red Army 52 divisions. Soviet forces also attacked southeast of Liepāja in an attempt to capture the city's port. 80 Soviet divisions assaulted the Germans from November 1 to 15, in a front that was 12 kilometers wide, but the Soviet breakthrough stalled after around 4 kilometers. The third phase of the fighting started on December 21, 1944, with a Soviet attack on Germans near Soldas. The Soviet 1st and 2nd Baltic fronts commenced a blockade. In this battle, serving with the 2nd Baltic Front's 22nd Army, the Latvian 130th Rifle Corps faced the Latvian 19th SS Division. The battle ended on December 31 and the front was stabilized once again. On Monday, January 15, 1945, Army Group North was renamed Army Group Courland under the command of Colonel General Lothar Endulich. In the middle of January, Heinz Guderian got Hitler's permission to withdraw 7 divisions from Courland, but Hitler refused to consider a full-scale withdrawal. The 4th Panzer Division, 31st, 32nd and 93rd Infantry Divisions, the 11th SS Division Nordland and the remnants of the 227th, 218th and 389th Infantry Divisions, and 15th Latvian SS Division were evacuated over the Baltic Sea. On Tuesday, January 23, Soviet forces launched an offensive trying to break through the front toward Liepāja and Saldus. They managed to take the bridgeheads on Batu and Vārtāja rivers but were pushed back by the Germans. The fifth battle started on February 12, 1945, with a Soviet attack against the Germans towards Daugsts. Other attacks took place south of Liepāja where the Soviets massed 21 divisions, and south of Tukums where 11 divisions tried to break through the German front and take the town. On February 16, the Soviets started an offensive against the German 19th Division. On Tuesday, May 8, 1945, Germany's head of state and President Karl Dönitz ordered Colonel General Karl Hilpert to surrender. Hilpert, his personal staff, and the staffs of 3 armies surrendered to Soviet Marshal Leonid Govorov, the commander of the Leningrad Front. By this point, the group consisted of the remnants of 27 divisions and 1 brigade. On May 9, the Soviet command in the region began to interrogate the captive staff of Army Group Courland, and began rounding up prisoners of war. By May 12, 1945, about 135,000 German troops had surrendered in the Courland Pocket. On May 23, the Soviet collection of the German prisoners in the Courland Pocket was complete. Around 180,000 German troops were taken prisoner from the Baltic region. The bulk of the prisoners of war were initially held at the Valdai Hills, on